Welcome to the earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
My goodness. What a week. What a morning. It's Charlie Kirk's funeral today. 60,000 people have filled up the arena in Arizona, and thousands more are being diverted to a nearby arena, the old arena, I assume. And it's going off. Pray for the event, because people want to do terrible things. Whether they will or not is up to the Lord, I suppose. Right now, I believe the church services, is how I would describe them, have ended. I've been checking in here and there. Nice little soft rock sound check. There we see Elon Musk and who is that guy? I want to say Perry, Rick Perry, Scott Perry. We should find out. We're streaming the video live on X, YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. Choose Rumble, not Rick Perry. We're looking. That's definitely not that guy. Maybe Scott Perry. Or not. Who knows? I don't know anything. Welcome to the show. I was panicking getting down here, but it's always so satisfying to have to just be right on time. You know what I mean? I don't know if this qualifies as right on time, because generally I have some kind of monologue to go on, but I wanted to just jump right in. I mean, today is the funeral. Somebody tried sneaking in yesterday. A man was posing as law enforcement and was able to somehow sneak onto the premises and was caught. This is the report from Fox News. What happened? Why does nothing ever work correctly? That one, yes. Thank you. Let's go.
An armed man is now in custody after entering the memorial site posing as a law enforcement officer.
Matt Finn joins us now outside the State Farm Stadium where the service is being held. Good morning, Matt.
Hi, Rachel. It is a calm, beautiful morning here on the ground right now. And of course, it'll be a much different scene at this hour tomorrow, where we expect thousands of people across the country, maybe even the world, to arrive here at State Farm Stadium. They're going to be greeted by intense federal and local security, obviously sweeping for not just the president, but a long list of VIPs. But ahead of tomorrow morning's memorial for Charlie Kirk, the Secret Service says a suspicious man with a gun and a knife was taken into custody yesterday after he was found inside State Farm Stadium, according to the Washington Post. Secret Service says the unidentified man was exhibiting suspicious behavior inside the stadium. Now, the report says the man claimed to be law enforcement but showed fake credentials.
That's not my fault, by the way. I'm super self-conscious about my audio issues, all right? That's not me. That's Fox. See, it happens to everybody.
The Secret Service writing in a statement, the individual is not a member of authorized law enforcement working the event and is currently in custody. The U.S. Secret Service and local law enforcement are investigating the circumstances as to why he was at the location. Tomorrow's memorial for Charlie Kirk here in Glendale, Arizona at State Farm, home to the Arizona Cardinals, has been designated a Tier 1 level event equivalent to a Super Bowl. DHS saying that designation is reserved for events of the highest national significance.
I didn't know that about the Super Bowl. So you still learn things, even though I know nothing. I'm just a little self-deprecating humor, folks. All right. We knew this was going to happen. We knew someone was going to try to do something. I had no idea that Charlie Kirk was such an icon. Honestly, I had no idea. I know it hurt really bad when he went down. So inexplicably so for me. He had a couple kids. That's heartbreaking. He was young, also heartbreaking. It's much easier to talk about this week as we kind of start to move on. So I thought that I could probably be strong enough to read this poem that they were handing out to people that were waiting in line to get into the funeral. It reads, "He was just a boy of 18 when he saw the call to lead, built a fire in the heartland, planted one determined seed. He said, let's give a voice to freedom. Let's let the young ones speak. So he traveled coast to coast to make the strong stand with the weak. So we raise the flag of reason. We hold the line of truth. In the face of fear and darkness, his courage is the proof. On the day that Charlie died, a million voices cried, probably more, for the courage of a young man who refused to run and hide. He lit a torch of reason in the storm of endless night, and though they took his life away, they'll never dim his light. From the halls of every campus to the streets of every town, he stood up for the values that some tried to tear down. He believed in open voices. He believed in an honest fight. Now the truth he sparked will echo on, carried in the morning light. So we carry forth his banner. We'll keep his dream alive. In the spirit of his mission, his legacy will thrive. On the day that Charlie died, a million voices cried for the courage of a young man who refused to run and hide. He lit a torch of reason in the storm of endless nights, and though they took his life away, they'll never dim his light. We'll remember Charlie's courage as we raise his banner high, for the day that Charlie died became the day we learned to fly. On the day that Charlie died, a million voices cried for the courage of a young man who refused to run and hide. He lit a torch of reason in the storm of endless nights, and though they took his life away, they'll never dim his light. We'll carry on his mission. We'll speak the truth out loud. In the land he loves so dearly, we stand forever proud. Yeah, we'll carry on his mission and speak the truth out loud. In the land he loved so dearly, we stand forever proud. And there's a QR code for the download of the song. It reminds me, and I didn't mean to take such a negative turn so early in the show, but it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore the people that are quite obviously trying to capitalize, trying to fill the void that Charlie left. And I'm not talking about the tens of thousands of people that are trying to start TPUSA chapters. I'm not talking about the people that have felt personally motivated to take up Charlie's mantle and continue spreading his message. I'm talking about the people that are now trying to ingratiate themselves to the right, to Charlie Kirk's followers. A lot of people were accusing Steven Crowder of this earlier this week. I don't really agree. I think Steven Crowder feels personally guilty, personally responsible, maybe, despite how ridiculous it is, for Charlie Kirk's death, because Steven Crowder was kind of the pioneer of the format that Charlie Kirk was following. Going to college campuses, setting up a table with the change my mind thing. That was, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but Steven Crowder started the change my mind. I mean, that was maybe like how he started his career. You can see here, I'm sharing his YouTube video. All of these videos, change my mind, change my mind. People are accusing him of calling out Charlie Kirk for copying his format. I don't think that's what he's doing at all. I think he's trying to cope with the loss of a major player in the same movement that Steven Crowder is part of. And he's gone on a few podcasts. He's said on his own podcast, I should have said something. I should have done something. But Charlie Kirk had security. Charlie Kirk knew it was dangerous. Charlie Kirk said himself, the left is violent. I've been collecting videos all week and just stacking them up. I mean, this show really is stacked with videos. I'm probably not going to cover a lot of topics, though, because I have a lot of thoughts on the major events of the week and the people involved. One person that is definitely attempting to ingratiate themselves to the right, to Charlie's fans, is Candace Owens. And I don't have a lot of love for Candace Owens. Here we go. Here's a video of Charlie Kirk explaining who the left is.
At the core of the left, at the core of a liberal, is someone that would use the sword if they had it. They are very violent people at their core. They always have been. They can't debate. They can't have conversation. So they'll resort to these tactics. They're going to do everything they possibly can to try to murder this movement because they can't beat us. So they're going to try to take weapons. And no, we're very aware of that. I'm aware of it. We have to have full-time security. This is not a joke. This is who these people are.
He was no stranger, Steven. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about this. Don't blame yourself. It's a perfectly natural form of grief. He should have warned him. He should have been there. He should have gave him more details if only there was something any of us could have done to stop what happened. If only we could have known that Israel was responsible. And the Israeli security, right? Everybody knows. I've got a funny clip of Bill Maher and Charlie Kirk discussing Israeli security. It's just cringe. There's been a long-running tactic from the anti-Israel crowd or the anti-Jew crowd of blaming the Jews for every horrific thing that has ever happened, which is really comical. And Candace Owens jumped right on that train a few months ago. And it's been a really unfortunate long downward spiral ever since. Candace thinks Israel killed Charlie because, in my opinion, the people who pay her would like her to push that message. Because in my opinion, that's just who Candace Owens is. She will say or do whatever it takes to make herself the center of attention, to get those paychecks, to get out of a contract. This is how she ended her relationship with the Daily Wire. You know, Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, the good old boys that all kind of do the same show every day. I'm sorry if you're a fan of those personalities. I don't think poorly of you for enjoying them. And Candace Owens had a contract with the Daily Wire, and then she went off the deep end and claimed that Brigitte Macron, the French prime minister's wife, was actually a trans woman sporting male accoutrement and is now being sued. So people are claiming that she's attempting to ingratiate herself with the TPUSA crowd and all of Charlie Kirk's fans because she needs an institution to support her in her fight against the consequences for the radical things that she said in order to keep herself on the tip of everyone's tongue. And I won't deny that Candace Owens is very talented. But she also has no real clear beliefs that we can tell from watching this video.
That I work for Prager University.
First, this is 2019 when she was, as she says, working for Prager University, who is owned by Dennis Prager, who is Jewish.
That I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew, and a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. These characters are just being inserted.
And 2025.
These characters are just being inserted into places to serve Israel. That makes Israel the master of the universe. And that's troubling.
Before we talk about this,
2018. She's speaking with Gad Saad.
but what are your views on Islam?
How's it going in the UK? Those are my views. Okay, you can't. They have different views than us. Their views are that Western civilization is corrupted and awful, and it doesn't follow their code of ethics.
Hamas, ISIS, all of these people are just so conveniently. These terror groups are so convenient in helping Israel expand its borders. We know that now. We're aware of these operations that you're running and constantly blaming it on Muslims, radical Muslim. It's always been killing Christians, and you've always been pointing the finger at Muslims.
But you didn't vote for Donald Trump, to be clear.
I did not.
And back to 2016.
After dropping out of college, Owens became CEO of Degree 180, a website which included, among other things, a blog focused on taking down then candidate Donald Trump. One article was titled, "Does Donald Trump actually have a small penis?" The piece concluded that Donald Trump most likely has a penis the size of an infant.
Trump derangement syndrome. What is it? Do I have it? Is there a cure? Fact. Donald Trump won the presidency in the same way that Obama won it before him. The American.
Okay, so what are Candace Owens' core beliefs? How can we know? Her beliefs are whatever her employer pays her to believe. I have a problem with that. Don't you? Isn't it a problem that someone will go on their podcast and speak with such conviction about something in 2019 and then have the polar opposite opinion in 2025, 6 years later? I have spoken before about people being able to take in new information and change their minds, but let's think about the Israel thing for a minute. People love to blame Israel. It's the oldest trick in the book. Is she unaware of this? Is she completely indifferent to the concept of people questioning her actual morality, the basis of all of her beliefs? As she's flopped back and forth on the issues over the last 7 years?
Usually the narrative, especially when you're talking about the Middle East, it seems that all of the blame, they always want to blame Israel, no matter what. The strangest things, anything could happen. It could not rain for 3 days. And it's, it's curse Israel, the Israel state, the IDF, they brought about all of this. I think this is.
So there she was on her PragerU show. Owned and operated, at least in part, by Dennis Prager, an Orthodox, she claims, Jew. Is an Orthodox Jew where you got to wear the goofy clothes and you have the weird, super curly sideburns with the hat? You know what I'm talking about? I think we need to laugh about a picture. I'm sorry to you audio listeners. If you're missing out, I admit I'm not really all that full on to the video podcasts train. But it is fun being able to pull up pictures. Yeah, I don't think Dennis Prager is even an Orthodox Jew. Should we ask Grok? I don't know. I'm cooled off on Grok. Is Dennis Prager an Orthodox? And we're splitting hairs, right? Aren't we splitting hairs? No, Dennis Prager is not an Orthodox Jew. So she says, I think, do you need more? You need more information than that. Sure, people get it wrong. I get it wrong all the time. What was the last thing I got wrong? I probably wrote a note down about it somewhere. I know I said the drummer for Metallica was Lars Larson. Gave myself a pretty good laugh about that. Grok's answer: no, Dennis Prager is not an Orthodox Jew. He was raised in a modern Orthodox Jewish home and attended yeshivas until age 19, but he left modern Orthodoxy after graduate school. There you have it. Not an Orthodox Jew, but let's just, this is my core issue with Candace Owens. She just wants to be in the spotlight. She wants all the attention. And don't we all want the attention? Well, I don't want attention for having really retarded opinions on the current events of the decade, of the time. I don't want to be remembered as that guy who flip-flopped his opinions. I think I have a pretty good grasp on who I am and what my beliefs are. And maybe, I don't know, maybe things could change my mind. Here's Candace Owens earlier in the week made claims that, this is all in the effort to weasel her way into the TPUSA crowd and gain the support of this massive institution. She's and people complaining about Steven Crowder trying to make it all about himself. It really feels like, even the more I talk about it and play these videos from her, it really feels like she is trying to seize the moment and be the next Charlie Kirk at TPUSA. Well, here's Eric Bowling, who's on the board of TPUSA, on the PBD podcast, saying Charlie Kirk stopped talking to Candace Owens after she lost the plot in conspiracy theories. This was shared by Ian Miles Chong on X.
Early on, 2011, 2012, 2013, they were tight. They grew TPUSA like crazy. I was shocked to see her leave until being part of TPUSA, her theories got just a little bit too down the rabbit holes. It was too extreme for their taste. And Charlie, to his credit, kept a cordial friendship with her for years, but it hasn't been a communication pipeline back and forth between the two for many years. That's why I don't know why we give Candace Owens's assessment any weight at all.
You're on the board of Turning Point?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Candace Owens?
In person?
Yeah.
2015,
Oh,
2016.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. No,
When's the last time she was at a Turning Point event?
Not in many years.
Okay.
But
so let's
you don't
without
even
even
this,
being
Adam.
biased.
There's
Candace even involved in Charlie Kirk's life?
What does this sound like to you? To me, it sounds like homie hopping, where you get together with one person and then that doesn't work out, so you jump to another person, and then that doesn't work out, so you jump to another person. And then you realize, oh man, that I really had it good 2 or 3 people ago. Let's go back to that. She had a shot at being an icon for TPUSA, but she had to jump to something else. She was discontented with her position at TPUSA, so she hopped to another thing. She hopped to the Daily Wire. Then she burned that bridge because one of the co-owners, or maybe the exclusive owner now, I think I did hear that Ben Shapiro became full owner of the Daily Wire. He was at least a co-owner with Jeremy Boring. According to Google's AI overview, Ben Shapiro is not the sole owner. I think maybe I just heard a rumor that Jeremy Boring, the other co-founder, was looking to maybe sell his stake in the company. That this was a few years ago, a couple of years ago, when we were all worried about the future of the country because Joe Biden and the radical left element of the country was in control of everything. And by that, of course, I mean every corporate interest that could pay enough money to get some legislation that suited them, and every foreign interest that wanted to pay $10 million to Hunter Biden. Well, they got whatever American policies they wanted to have, all the while the southern border is wide open, and the criminals and terrorists in the world were, for all intents and purposes, just invited to come destroy the country. But I have to ask, if Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk were such great friends, why, oh why, is she skipping the funeral?
I said there is no way we are going to this event now. There's a 0% chance. First and foremost, why are you saying but anybody can go to it? You just buy a ticket to the event, and you're all working to try to get me to confirm that I'm going. And you're doing this as if you're trying to like push my buttons and be like, we got to make her get into her ego so she like shows up and like posts it on social media. Nope. Actually, you know, while I'm attacking the feds, maybe not going to a public event, which the feds are organizing, is probably a very good idea. I'm good. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna listen to Power on my headphones and go see Ye. How's that for a memorial for Charlie Kirk? That feels like the right thing for me to do right now.
Oh yeah,
I said
great.
there's no way.
Super, super solid, wonderful individual. Yeah. She's worried about herself. She's worried about her. I mean, that's the end of Candace Owens' involvement with TPUSA, in my opinion. Worried about herself. Gonna skip the funeral. Gonna skip the funeral. Gonna skip standing up for herself and her beliefs and her, I don't know, apparent political group. Her people. I mean, these are supposed to be her people. Why is she really skipping it? Why? Because nobody asked her to speak? Because she's not really as close to Charlie Kirk as she claims to be? that she's really just, I mean, everybody just knows at this point. Do you need to hear anything else from Candace Owens again, ever? Skipping the funeral. Skipping the funeral because it's going to be about somebody else and not Candace Owens. Yep. That honestly sounds like people that I have known in my life. Now, Dave Smith, comedian, libertarian, often talked about for the libertarian candidate for president. I always thought that Dave Smith and Candace Owens shared a lot of views. But it doesn't seem so in this clip from his podcast called Part of the Problem.
Just try to stay away from that bad force. And I should say, one more thing that I just, because I, of whatever, I don't even want to get into the politics of any of it, but I did see, Ian Carroll, and I'm not trying to personally blast him or anything like that. I'm not starting any feuds or nothing.
And he's another kind of blame Israel for everything personality, Ian Carroll.
Like that. I've said nice things about Ian in the past. I know he's said nice things about me, but I see him out there and I've seen a bunch of other people doing this, but it's just if you want to go look through it, it's just crazy. But he had this post about how Israel did this. Israel just murdered Charlie Kirk. And you know me, I don't know. I'm biggest fan of Israel, but I literally just replied and I went, what evidence do we have that Israel was involved with this at all? And man, if you want to be disturbed, go look through the replies to that. It is unbelievable how people put together theory. They're like, what evidence do you have? By the way, the answer is none. We have absolutely no evidence. There's absolutely no reason to even suspect that is the case, let alone to determine that it's a fact.
But this doesn't stop people from making these wild claims. I saw a claim online earlier in the week that someone identified 12 cell phones belonging to Israeli nationals, allegedly, at this speaking event where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. However, upon doing my own research, I learned there's absolutely no evidence to support this. No government agencies are claiming this to be the case. I'm sure they're looking at everything. And Erica Kirk did say she knows what happened. She knows who's responsible and that the truth will be coming out. That's also unsubstantiated. But people just make stuff up because it suits their political agenda.
And all the things people are posing, it's just guys, Jesus Christ, man, I'm sorry. I just don't go for sloppy, kooky theories. If you got some evidence, bring it to me and I'll be the first one to look into it. But then people going he was waking up to Israel. Dude, he said release the Epstein files. And he once on an interview said the pro-Israel people are getting a little too crazy when they're accusing even me of being anti-Israel, but that's about it. And to his credit, he defended having me at the thing and having Tucker and Megan there and stuff. But you've just got no real theory here. And it just makes no sense at all. They telling me the government of Israel took out their number one guy who still had influence amongst young people. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I don't think it's I don't know. I think honestly, in a way, I think a lot of those guys might have fallen into their own dark force where they're just so wrapped up in blaming Israel and blame for everything that you start to see it, or you kind of desire that conclusion before you've even reached it. But I think like anyone, like, let's just fucking breathe on this for a little bit. Let's get again, as I say all the time, I'm not against a conspiracy theory. I love a good conspiracy theory. Lots of them are true, but like, you gotta like have a case to make. You got to have evidence, a coherent narrative, a through line, different, things that back.
So what are some of the benefits to having none of those things? I mean, why would you just regurgitate baseless accusations if someone wasn't saying, hey, this is what we want to hear? If her audience wasn't exploding with, anti-Semitic bot accounts? I mean, that's the world that we're living in today, where they're claiming like up to 80% of the traffic on the internet is all just bots. So, of course, that includes views on videos, hits on web pages, likes on Reddit, comments on Reddit. I mean, Reddit is a cesspool of bots and New World Order narratives. Do we reach the climax now of our Candace Owens segment, where she basically makes all the claims that Dave Smith just made fun of?
It is shocking to me how when I'm not even trying to look into Israel, they pop up in everything. I think this is the reason why we don't get to open the Epstein files. We don't get to open the JFK files. Parking aside America, other countries too. You investigate anything. I mean, I'm investigating Brigitte Macron and Israeli blackmail comes up in Morocco. Everything that's being introduced by Zionists, right, and into our society, gambling, a major vice, drugs, prostitution, sex pornography. We Jews love pornography because we hate Catholics and we hate Jesus and allows us to crush the church. They want to make you guys think that this culture is okay, because then they can subjugate your culture. It was convenient for Israel, by the way, when the towers went down. It was just convenient for Israel that JFK got shot. They shot JFK in an open car, so there's not, he's a sitting president. Obviously, my security doesn't really matter. If they want me, they're gonna get me. That's not a normal thought process to have. We don't have that about any other country in the world, except for the one that, took over ours. And that's the truth, okay? We are an occupied nation. This is a state that has a hexagram on their flag. Okay, they're even lying about the history of the Star of David. It's a hexagram. It's a cult. Killing Christians. You've always been killing Christians, and you've always been pointing the finger at Muslims. So everyone's awake to that now. You got a little bit more than a PR problem, Bill Ackman. It isn't a cult.
Do you need to hear more? I mean, this goes on for 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. Let's listen to a little more.
Nation. There's no question about that. Everything that they are involved in is a cult. The leaders are coming together to find peace, right? Finally, everybody's coming to the table after 3 years of murdering young Ukrainian men. And I think we all recognize that the person that has the most power over all of our nations at this moment is Bibi Netanyahu. Of course, he's the boss. He's the big boss, Bibi. And he's going to decide when and if and exactly at what moment these wars are going to be allowed to end. Like, oh my gosh, like we have to make sure that a Holocaust never happens. We have to support Israel. Nope. Now we are reading the books. We're learning about how you've executed this. You've blindfolded the entire world to what you are. And what I think you might be is possessed by a real demon. I'm Catholic. I believe in demons. And Netanyahu is very clearly a demon. And any person that supports him, like you are a part of a totally demonic enterprise. I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. 1000% blame the Zionists. These characters are just being inserted into places to serve Israel. That makes Israel the master of the universe. Now, does all of this mean that Bibi Netanyahu and that this somehow proves that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, we have no evidence of that. We can't say that because there is no evidence of that. But I don't like little lies.
Yeah.
What happens in the Hamptons is not going to stay in the Hamptons, okay? Bring in our movie poster. I know what you did this summer.
She's referring to a meeting that Charlie Kirk had in the Hamptons with people that Candace Owens claims are Zionists cozied up to American political institutions. You know what I think Candace needs? What Candace needs, and so many others. Well, they need this app.
A lot of terrible things happen in the world, but sometimes you forget to blame Israel. That's why I've launched the Blame Israel Reminder app. It scans news 24/7, and whenever tragedy strikes, you instantly get alerted on your phone reminding you to blame Israel. A celebrity murdered? Obviously Mossad. A horrific pandemic? Gotta be the Jews. Market crashes? Come on, that one's too obvious. Don't ever find yourself in that uncomfortable position where someone else is blamed for a tragedy when you could have easily pinned it on Israel. Thank goodness no one checks facts anymore before sharing idiotic hot takes on social. So download the Blame Israel Reminder app today. And if for some reason it doesn't load, at least you know who's at fault.
Thank you to the Blame Israel app for sponsoring this podcast. No, not really. They're not. I don't even think that the Blame Israel app is really a real app, but I am going to have to check. No, don't give me your new tutorials on all the new features from the App Store. Hard pass. What do you think? The suspense is building. Is Blame Israel a real app? No, it's not. Scrolling, nothing. It's not. It should. I'm honestly surprised, because this has been, when did this get posted? September 17th? 4 days ago? I'm surprised that somebody hasn't made an app. I mean, this video has 1 million views. Probably more than that by now. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't actually made a Blame Israel app for the lols. Now, I'm not saying... it would be stupid to assume that Israel isn't looking out for its own best interests, just like it would be stupid to assume that America is not looking out for its best interests, or China or Ukraine or Russia. I feel like countries pretending to be friends only do that because it's beneficial for their populations to think that we have friends, we have nice friends. But whether responsible or not, I'm sure Benjamin Netanyahu loves all of these personalities on the right spreading the idea that Israel will have you assassinated if you speak ill of Israel. Because that's really been the message. This is the evidence that these personalities bring up to show that, sometimes Charlie Kirk said negative things about Israel and about the things that Israel was doing. And he raised questions about October 7th. And he claimed, did you know that it took 6 hours for the IDF, or the Israeli Defense Forces, to respond to the attack on October 7th? I don't know if that's true or not. I would assume that it is, because Charlie Kirk mentioned it in one of his speaking engagements. That raises a lot of questions. I can't deny. Why did it take so long? Do you guys know you have this terrible enemy that's always trying to kill you? Maybe some public explanations are in order. Maybe you could make a public explanation as to how there was such a dramatic lapse in security, allowing these animals to breach your borders and kill thousands of people and take hundreds of hostages. Wasn't it 700 hostages? I gotta know. How many hostages were taken on October 7th? Google autocomplete coming through. 251. I don't know where I got 700 from. Probably more Israeli propaganda. Take that. So clearly, I mean, at this point, are you not convinced that Israel killed Charlie Kirk? Israel, they've been so clever orchestrating all of the horrible things that have ever happened to America, but they just stupidly assassinated the American icon, Charlie Kirk, because why? What's their motivation for doing that? Because he said two bad, Charlie spent his entire career speaking negatively of the left. But he says a handful of negative things about Israel, and people say, oh, he's waking up. He's figuring out that Israel is really the source of all of our problems. And I don't think Israel is perfect. But I think it would be really dumb to attack, how many countries is Israel closely allied with? We got to find out. And we're going to have to trust Google because it's already been, look at that top Google search result. I got to share it with you. Oh, except it went away after I clicked. No. How many countries is Israel top result? What countries is Israel at war with? Is Israel attacking? Is Israel bombing right now? Is Israel fighting? That's too good. Surprise clutch content from Google. How many do you think? And more appropriately, what do you think Google is going to say? Nobody likes Israel. No one is friends with them. Closest ally, United States. East Mediterranean partners, Greece and Cyprus, India. And then it talks about the Abraham Accords. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing crucial details that I would catch if I was a political science major, but it seems to me like probably one of the dumbest things that Israel could do right now in this political climate, with its dwindling allies and its really unpopular position in mainstream media, maybe killing an American icon would be the last nail in the coffin of the Free State of Israel. Who has a history of attacking us in early September? Who hates Christians? Who hates the West? Who hates Israel the most? The most. I mean, aside from Candace Owens. Iran? Muslims? The Islamic State? Would it be tactically beneficial for the Islamic Caliphate to sabotage Israel's position of favor with the United States? You know, the world's premier superpower, if I may. And wouldn't it be tremendously beneficial to pay a bunch of right-wing dopes to go on their podcasts and point to all these ridiculous instances of Israeli involvement in every tragedy that's ever befallen the Americans? I mean, what else? Here's a good one on Israeli security. I know I said we were going to talk about these conspiracy theories. They're all kind of really dumb and lame. I can't deny. Why isn't this video loading? Oh, there we go. It's just had to really try hard. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the video of Bill Maher and Charlie Kirk discussing their Israeli security forces. Without a doubt, this means Israel is to blame.
Of course, it was wedged between the two giant Israeli bodyguards the whole way.
If you want security, the Israelis know what they're doing.
Exactly. So it was not the vacation I planned, but
Oh.
of course, it was wedged between the two giant Israeli bodyguards the whole way.
If you want security, the Israelis know what they're doing.
So I think that settles it, right? Charlie Kirk had Israeli security, and the Israeli government manipulated the Israeli security guards to shoot Charlie Kirk on stage while he's talking about American cultural issues at colleges. Okay. If that's the position you would like to take, go right ahead. I have this video from a sniper, but he's a sniper. And he basically says the same things that Alex Jones says in this video, which is kind of, there's nothing gruesome to see, but the description itself is a little bit gruesome. Alex Jones, I think we could all agree, the king of conspiracy theories. Yes, no, maybe so. I play this video in place of the sniper's video because, as I said, the same details are explained. And Alex Jones, this is what, Alex Jones is a storyteller. He's a media personality, and he just does it better than the sniper. The sniper lends credibility. But they say the same things in this video.
All right, I'm just going to report the facts to you. I just talked to Andrew Colvett, who is the official spokesman for TPUSA, who I've met before, who's a great guy, and a big confidant of Charlie Kirk. And I put my report out about him talking to the surgeon that was there when Charlie was brought dead to the hospital. And Charlie was being shot from on top, I'm just repeating what he told me, into the throat. And he's saying now that no, it didn't go through, which actually makes sense now that I think about it. It was coming down and it went, he asked me not to be too graphic, but it went down his spine, exploded in his heart, fragments went in there, which makes sense, that's what happens, and that the bullet fragments bounced back up, and they found that. So this is ballistics. I hadn't thought of that. I'm not a ballistics expert, but after all of this, that makes a lot more sense, because I have shot wild hogs and deer and you name it, sent them straight on, and the bullet goes in right in the chest and then comes out the side or comes out the ass or comes out wherever. And he's like, just don't be graphic. Well, and I told him, I said, how am I supposed to be graphic? Now understand, he's being shot from above. It goes in and it goes down the spine, and then fragments bounce back up, which I've seen bullets do. I hate talking about this, but that's where we are. So people are thinking straight on shot, but once he explained it, this isn't a straight on shot. That would go right through.
Based on the other details that have come out about this horrific injury, the statements that JD Vance has made about the things the doctors told him needed to happen as they were transporting the coffin because of what would happen to his body and the wound as he was being transported, immediately entered my mind as, oh, there was severe damage to his spine. Basically, I'm going to be crude for just a second. The doctor said if you don't hold the coffin right, his head's going to fall off. So, of course, this being the official report, this being the story, that doesn't mean we can all rest easy, knowing that we have all the facts from the Charlie Kirk saga, assassination. I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way. If you caught the last show, my Charlie Kirk memorial show, you could call it. You know that I have the utmost respect for Charlie Kirk and the work that he was doing. That doesn't mean that elements and factions vying for control of the world wouldn't exert their influence to the fullest extent to create a narrative that will garner support for whatever foreign policy issues they want to pursue. Here's the mortician, or I should say a mortician, speaking on what she claims are inconsistencies.
Despite the very obvious evidence, there are still people out here convinced that Charlie Kirk is still alive. They are pointing at the photos Erica posted of him in his casket and saying, "That's not him. That's fake. That's a mannequin." So let's pause. As an embalmer, I can tell you that is absolutely him, and actually the exact things people are using as proof. The yellow hands, the firmness, the waxy or silicone appearance, those are classic signs of embalming. So let's break it down. Before I dive in, I want to stop and acknowledge something really important. This is sensitive material. A man just lost his life, and his wife, Erica, is grieving in a way most of us can't even imagine. Part of me hopes she never sees this video because my goal here isn't to add to her pain. But here's the reality. People are already talking. The internet is full of rumors, conspiracy theorists, and outright misinformation. Everything from "he's still alive" to "that's a mannequin in the casket." And as an embalmer, I can't sit back and let people take these wild stories at face value. Yes, this is hard to talk about, but death is hard. He is gone, and the world is already talking about it. So instead of adding to the rumor mill, I'm here to put the facts out there to explain what's normal, what's not, and to hopefully bring some clarity to a situation that's already incredibly painful.
I would like to believe that Charlie Kirk is still alive, because that's pretty much the only way you could justify the involvement of our own government. I don't know that our own government was involved. I do not want to believe that our own government was involved. I don't want to believe that our country is so damaged that people are filled with so much hate that this is our culture now. Assassinating our political opponents. The guy, I've been hearing this a lot over the week. The guy who wanted to talk is what they're calling Charlie Kirk. The guy that wanted to have a conversation. You killed that guy. You killed the guy that wanted to have a conversation. Now who do we have? We have the guy that wants to pick up the gun. We have the guy that wants to retaliate. I mean, do you think that there are right-wing extremists that are planning to assassinate a left-wing pundit? There was a bit of a sensation started when people were reviewing footage and saw this guy climbing on a chair, tampering in some way or another with the cameras that were facing out into the crowd. You can see he grabs a chair, climbs up on top of it, and starts fiddling with the camera. The TPUSA officials have dispelled this rumor. They know who it is. They're shocked that he had the presence of mind to grab the SD cards, the evidence, the video evidence. And they say he provided it to the FBI immediately and only did it because he didn't want someone to steal them. Here's the alleged assassin, Charlie Kirk. This is a thread on X from at Orange Cryptotech. sort of an aggregation of the conspiracy theories of late that we haven't yet covered already. You can see this is a picture that everyone's been using. I don't know if I click it. No, it's still cut off. This picture people have been using to reference the Valhalla conspiracy theory, which was put together because the picture that you saw on the video of Tyler Robinson standing on his dorm in his dorm room shows also in the picture the wallpaper that he's put on the monitor of his PC. That's what they call, the backdrop. His computer wallpaper. Showing Goat Island in New Zealand, which happens to be the home to a private resort referred to as Valhalla. This is my favorite conspiracy theory. Kash Patel. You know what? I should pull the video. Do I have the video? I think I do, because I did a really deep dive. I guess I'll just spoil the plot, because I looked into this heavily. Of course, because I would love to believe that Charlie Kirk is still alive, that he was sent into witness protection, and this whole thing was simply to create an awakening, the awakening that we've seen. Hundreds of thousands of people showing up in Arizona for his funeral today. There's a tremendous amount of power in the narrative that will at some point be universally agreed upon. Because we'll want to move on. We'll get the explanation that all of us can kind of find to be believable, and we'll move on. Of course, that narrative will not be, oh, Charlie Kirk is still alive. He's hanging out, in Valhalla on Goat Island in New Zealand. This is one of the things that spawns this conspiracy theory.
To my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
So I'm not sure. Actually, we need to ask. I don't think Kash Patel is actually a religious person. But the term Valhalla refers to the afterlife in Norse mythology. And I think we can all agree that Kash Patel and Charlie Kirk were not Nordic, Orthodox, whatever, pagan. Kash Patel is Hindu. Charlie Kirk is Christian. And he wishes to see as he's giving his final message in the FBI press conference to Charlie Kirk, he says, I'll see you in Valhalla. It looks to me like Kash Patel was trying to get off stage without shedding tears, because this statement happened so soon after the tragedy of Charlie Kirk's assassination that he quickly threw a few things together and ended the press conference with some kind words in honor of Charlie Kirk. So then the picture of Tyler Robinson came out. We've seen all of the, it's not going to take me back to my notes, dang it. And we have this article from Distractify. Why did Kash Patel say Valhalla during news conference about Charlie Kirk? Quote, we have the watch and I'll see you in Valhalla. Well, it's definitely because Charlie Kirk is in witness protection in New Zealand on Goat Island in this resort referred to as Valhalla. All right, that's what happened. I am not interested in learning any other details, but really, what would be the resolution to this story? Charlie Kirk is in fact in this Valhalla resort on Goat Island, private resort owned by, with Danish ownership. These are all things that I learned in my research. You can't go there. I looked it up on Priceline, tried to book a room. It's not happening. You can't. It's invite only. So naturally, it's used for witness protection. Because why wouldn't you want to go to your private resort in New Zealand and hang out with a bunch of, I don't know, who else would be there? Elvis is probably dead by now. Same with John Lennon, same with all of the other people that died that, tragically, that people think are still alive. Kurt Cobain, he's probably still alive. I don't think any information that we learn from the establishment, from the official narrative, I don't think any of those answers will be, oh, surprise, he's still alive, everybody. We were just kidding. We just had to wake you guys up, you idiots. We had to show you how absolutely sick and depraved some of these leftists are. You ever heard of Destiny? Stephen Bonnell? Statistics? He is probably the most vile leftist that is still making, well, as of at least a few days ago. Completely shameless. I would argue definitely, but although this is only allegedly, on the take for probably some radical Islamists, whether he knows it or not, has had nothing but hateful things to say since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Here he is as a guest on Random Guys podcast.
Shout out the crime statistics. Not exactly like you need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now they don't feel like there's any fear. Like I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's gonna be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cucked shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual fucking, the most cucked, weak ass, fucking bullshit ass speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm gonna make a death note before I go out to go live and not. God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked.
Cox has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry, excuse me, when?
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know,
what you just said
I do know
true.
the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the
he hasn't made it
you may
clear.
not want
He
to
said
hear
this is
this.
an ongoing investigation.
You may not want to
You
hear
don't
it,
wanna
Destiny, but the reality is the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just
There's
ask
no
you.
way to deal with it.
Okay,
You're living in a
accusing the
delusional
governor
fantasy.
of lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But if it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk
I'm
until
just-
Donald Trump says
Here's-
something.
I'm a YouTuber leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why
tell
would you
his
expect
side to calm
anybody,
down?
Destiny?
You
What-
can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't
Can
Trump
you
go on
answer
TV and
this
say,
question?
all of us should be less violent?
Why do you
can't
think-
Trump say that?
why do you
Why
think-
is your
Trump say
behavior
that? I feel
contingent
like
on Donald
I'm
Trump?
insane right now.
Why do you
is
think-
your
no, let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me
Why
ask
is
a
that?
question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the opposing political party.
Destiny. Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't matter.
Who
You
has
have a
more young-
huge
it doesn't
audience,
matter.
and because
This
of
is
the fact that
world
you have a
I
huge
live in,
audience,
and
you
your
have
brain
a
has been
responsibility
broken by
to
online
not turn.
rhetoric.
No,
And
it
your
hasn't.
brain
It hasn't
has
been
been
broken. I actually
destroyed
care
because
about the
people
country
bully you on
and want to bring
Twitter.
people together.
If
You
then
do the
you should tell
opposite.
Donald
You
Trump to
represent
tell
the
people
worst
to
of us,
be
Destiny.
Do you think that there are no right-wing extremists trying to figure out how to do something bad to that guy? How vile. Does he actually believe that stuff? I don't know. Maybe. He's definitely struggling. But all of these people, Destiny, others like him, was that Hassan Piker? They're saying, "Oh, we're all afraid of getting assassinated now." We're afraid that some right-wing extremist is going to pull the trigger on us because, well, they have a lot more guns, right? A lot more guns, a lot more know-how, and a lot more what else? Yeah, a lot more self-respect, a lot more integrity, a lot more morality. Has anybody been killed by the right since this happened? I am going to get into Jimmy Kimmel, but I skipped over this at the beginning of the show. And this is, by the way, I am really enjoying just kind of scattering. Like, I put my notes in order, like, ooh, yeah, this will be good. And then we start popping off, and I think, you know what? I'm going to skip to this. I'm going to skip to that. Now I'm going to go back to this from Benny Johnson because he lays it out perfectly. He writes on X at Benny Johnson. Very talented content creator. Charlie Kirk, assassinated by a leftist trans activist. The right prays, mourns, goes to church, starts TPUSA. He's not writing these things. Starts new chapters of TPUSA. Carries on with Charlie Kirk's message, is tremendously motivated. But the left, Benny writes, Democrat pedophile George Zinn distracts law enforcement, falsely claiming to be Charlie's shooter, helping the assassin get away, charged criminally. And I have more on that. We're going long today. Bomb was planted on a Fox News vehicle by two Democrat voter criminals and terrorism charges for them. Massive Charlie Kirk memorial vandalized and destroyed in Arizona, criminal charges. DNC super donor shoots up the ABC affiliate building in Sacramento, criminal charges. Jimmy Kimmel show suspended for lying about left-wing terrorism. Thousands upon thousands of leftists losing their jobs for celebrating Kirk's death. A Texas Tech student assaulted a Charlie Kirk supporter. Expulsion and criminal charges for that degenerate. A Texas State student mocked Charlie's death and threatened TPUSA students, expelled from Texas State. 58 House Democrats vote against disavowing political violence. Brett Kavanaugh's left-wing political assassin comes out as trans, and a bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s house. Criminal charges for that person. But it's the right. It's the right. The right. The president needs to come out. The president needs to come out and speak to his base about turning down the political temperature. Right?
Hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
That was Jimmy Kimmel in the COVID era. Remember that? He went completely off the rails. And now his career is over. His show has been canceled. And it's because, why? Oh, well, maybe it's because of all of the disgusting things that he said about Charlie Kirk.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson after all the...
That's not the one. Where is it? Why didn't I pull it? Why didn't you pull it, Ryan? Because I thought I did, but I failed you. It's still happening.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone.
So is it really that outrageous? I suppose if you know the facts. But the outrageous part isn't the words that he's saying, it's what he's doing, and that is creating cover for more political assassinations. Sending the message to these people, the hypothetical future assassins of America, that don't worry, if you kill somebody, we have your back. We will lionize you like Luigi Mangione, the guy that, because, yes, we all know that he killed the United Healthcare CEO, whether he deserved it or not. The point is, he's encouraging the violence. He's covering for the violence, and not just him, but many others. Everyone that had vile things to say about Charlie Kirk, everyone that said, that's what you get. That's what you get when you do these things. You get what you deserve. You shouldn't speak so hatefully, because if you do, somebody might kill you. What does that tell people? Hey, if you want to assassinate somebody, as long as you have a good reason, we'll sweep it under the rug for you. And there's a whole gang of people doing this. Hundreds, maybe. Let's not get carried away. Of course, mainstream media would like you to believe that it's 40% of the left. I don't believe so. But the goal is civil war, is it not? I mean, can we agree on that? If we can outrage the right enough, maybe they'll take up arms. Maybe they'll start killing us on the left, and then we'll have a civil war. And then China and Russia and South Korea or North Korea, excuse me, can all roll in, along with all of the Muslim terrorists that are here already. And we can carve up the country into the new communist states that they want for the U.S. to become. Surprisingly, the left has been seemingly more motivated to blame this event on the right and its policy and not the guns. Probably because it was a hunting rifle, and they know there's no way in hell that they're getting hunting rifles away from these people. I feel like the Jimmy Kimmel thing is a conspiracy against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has come out recently and said, if you lie to the American people, if you push propaganda, we're going to use the FCC to take away your broadcasting license. This gave ABC the opportunity to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel and call it political censorship at the same time. From Fox News, Disney is pulling ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely, the company confirmed to Fox News Digital. Quote, Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely, a Disney spokesperson said. Nexstar Media Group, which owns hundreds of television stations, announced earlier it would preempt Jimmy Kimmel's show on its ABC affiliates starting Wednesday night, quote, for the foreseeable future, and would replace it with other programming over his comments about alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. Now, see, that's where the lie is, because I don't believe that that's what it was actually for. However, tremendously beneficial to these leftist institutions that can blame it on Donald Trump. But here's the reality from Tim Pool on X. The advertiser coveted 18 to 49 demo cratered for Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel averaged only 129,000 viewers in that bracket in August, off from 212,000 in January, and less than half his June peak of 284,000. With his ABC contract set to expire next year, the slump raises questions about whether Jimmy Kimmel Live can regain momentum against Colbert, Fallon, and cable insurgents. So the left rolls out and says Donald Trump put pressure on ABC through the FCC to take Jimmy Kimmel off of the air. And since ABC acquiesced to Donald Trump in this hypothetical pipe dream, we can twist this narrative into Donald Trump canceled Jimmy Kimmel because Donald Trump didn't like what Jimmy Kimmel said about his friend Charlie Kirk. Very cunning. Also, I think a smart business decision. Jimmy Kimmel sucks. Jimmy Kimmel's a leftist mouthpiece. Why does nobody question who Jimmy Kimmel is getting money from? Oh, because major networks know how to launder their money. Because foreign interests and corporate interests can just buy ads on network television and buy the narrative. And unfortunately, I've spoken before on Jimmy Kimmel. And I think I've always said I feel sorry for him. That doesn't absolve him of the responsibility for saying these things. He has producers, he has writers, he reads a teleprompter. He has to play this character. So Colbert is done. Jimmy Kimmel is gone. I can't help but wonder if any of this has to do with the gutting of USAID. No more money. No more money going out to foreign countries and NGOs. I mean, would you be surprised to learn that these NGOs take out ads on these television stations, these cable TV networks, to control the narrative? I mean, would you be shocked? Would you be shocked to learn that the entities controlling the narrative are corporate and foreign interests? That they have all the money. Why would they not do that? They would. But nobody liked the show. Nobody watched the show. They were paying Jimmy Kimmel $86,000 an episode. They had an opportunity to get rid of it. They almost certainly had a morality clause, which they could use to cancel Jimmy's contract early. And the icing on the cake is just being able to blame it on Donald Trump. But the left has, of course, seized on this opportunity to make Donald Trump look like a dictator and at the same time continue fomenting political violence against their opponents. And now the right is talking about the same thing that the left was talking about a couple of years ago. Hate speech laws. We got to stop it. Oh, but don't worry, we'll only censor them. Just the same thing the New York Democrats said about Donald Trump in their political witch hunts. That they were only using to try to destroy his business and his family. Now the right is moving down the same path. Don't worry, we'll only censor the extreme radicals. And that's how it starts, isn't it? We'll just censor these really bad guys. Okay, well, now there's some new bad guys. We got to censor them too. And before you know it, they're censoring your podcast. Now, how about some good news? I think I covered most of everything that I want to cover. No, that's wrong. All right, we'll get into some good news. Anyway, Kash Patel went before Congress to talk about the things that he's been doing. And he got to go toe-to-toe with some of the most disgusting Democrats that you're aware of. And he gave it to him with both barrels. Let's start with Adam Schiff.
People to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
not in the weeds?
What I am doing is
most-
protecting this
the
country,
most- the
providing
most
historic
significant
reform,
witness-
and
the most
combating the
significant witness,
weaponization of
the
intelligence
Epstein
by the likes of you.
cover-up
And we have
gets
countlessly proven you to
from
be a
your
liar in
administration,
Russiagate, in
and you
January
call that
6th.
being
You are
in
the biggest
weeds?
fraud to ever sit in the
This
United States
stinks to
Senate.
high
You are a
heaven.
disgrace to this
This stinks to high
institution
heaven.
and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not
And I'm
surprised
not
that you continue to
surprised
lie
that the-
from
the-
your
that the-
perch and put on a show
view
so you can go
of
raise
you,
money for your
and for good
charade.
reason.
You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take
make-
it to
you
the
can
bank
take
that
an
the
internet-
FBI is
you
protecting
can
this
make an
country
internet troll,
and the state and
the FBI
citizens of the
director
California.
will
We
always
are
care
bringing
nothing more
historic
than an
reform.
internet Point of
Historic.
order.
But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
You said
take
I'm the
control
most
of this
transparent
situation.
FBI director in history.
control of this
33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
You be quiet.
Holy freaking mic drop. I mean, doesn't that feel good? I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on that. The left, at least the left in this Senate committee, is clinging to the conspiracy theory that Donald Trump is involved in the Epstein scandal somehow. Aside from just, being in New York and Florida, where the Playboys are. That's just the facts of it. They were in the same circles. So probably the left fabricated information, as they're known to do, hid it away in the Epstein files as a poison pill, as a booby trap. Oh, if they try to release this, they're going to find all of this false fabricated evidence that implicates Donald Trump in the most horrific of horrific things. I don't know why they wouldn't just come out and say. I mean, Donald Trump alluded to it, but nobody really picked up the story. Here's Kash Patel going after Eric Swalwell. No one was spared. None of the people, let me just say, for me, all of the people that needed to get a little smoke from Kash Patel got that smoke and maybe even a little fire.
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done so.
No, the
because
question
they failed
again.
to meet the muster and
Director,
the constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to
of the
borrow
person.
your
Can you hear me?
terminology and call
I'm
bullshit
reclaiming
on
my
your
time.
entire career in Congress.
reclaiming my
It's
time,
been a
Director.
disgrace to the American
Director, I'm
people.
reclaiming my
You
time
can
on that.
reclaim your
No, you
time all you
refuse
want.
yourself.
Mr.
Chairman, you're
going to
allow a witness to speak this way? Mr. Chairman, would you recuse yourself?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman, would you admonish the witness not to
And
insult members?
Jim Jordan, the chairman of this committee that's addressing Kash Patel, has a smile on his face.
Gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman, just
committee will remember.
Quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
Donald
crime in this
Trump's
country and the number of pedophiles that are
Director,
illegally
reclaim my
harbored in
time,
your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaim
I'll
my
work with
time.
you on that. Do
Regular
you wanna
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director,
I
reclaim
belongs
my
to the
time.
gentleman from California.
Anyone that has been terminated at the
Oof. Let's keep it going. Jamie Raskin gets it as well. By the way, Eric Swalwell, he was the guy that was caught sleeping with the Chinese spy. And I hope to God, literally, in Jesus' name, amen, that we can finally find out without dispute what these people have been up to with enough evidence to actually prosecute some people. Here is Kash Patel grilling Jamie Raskin, who was one of the top Democrats on the January 6th committee.
2005 because of the non-prosecution agreements and the court orders on the investigations and search warrants. We were not able to develop new information. And oh, by the way, Jeffrey Epstein was out for 12 years and the Obama and Biden administration did nothing to look at his work, his pedophile network. If you want to blame me, that's fine. But now you're blaming the men and women who conducted
No,
this
stop
great
that.
search.
I'm not blaming anybody other than you. You're not keeping your word. You said that you would release all of the materials
Has
under your
anyone
direct
released
control.
more information on Epstein than I have? Has
Well,
anyone?
Much
Did
more.
Comey, did Ray?
Much
Did
more.
they?
Excuse me. Much more has come out in the days since the American people in Congress have been demanding it. But it's coming out in dribs and drabs. Why don't you just release the entire file as you promised to do?
I literally just told you there are multiple federal court orders. I'm not going to break the law to satisfy your curiosity. You didn't join us when we filed court to release the court orders. You could have. You have lawyers. You could have shown up. You didn't do that.
That's a tiny fraction of the material we're
That
talking
is
about.
not.
It is
How
a
do you-
tiny fraction.
How do you know that? Have you seen
No.
everything?
It's all misdirection.
How do you know
Time
that?
of the gentleman has
Oh
expired.
yeah, and there's some just classic projection. They could have done this stuff with Epstein. This is what the Democrats did with Epstein, okay? They heard that it was a hot topic for the right. And they knew, because of what Biden and the DOJ did in his administration, that not only was there going to be nothing incriminating there against Democrats, but that they had manipulated all of the evidence against Donald Trump. So now they've been trying their hardest to make it an issue for Donald Trump. And once again, they're trying to obstruct the agenda that Donald Trump is trying to push through. And I'm honestly glad. I'm honestly glad that the Epstein thing has cooled off, because I think now realize more than ever that there are much bigger problems in the United States than Jeffrey Epstein. But first, more good news. As I reported earlier, or maybe I didn't hit the exact number. Last week, we talked about the numbers of requests for new TPUSA chapters. That week, this number jumped up to 54%, and then the latest reporting, 62,000 new chapter requests. And this guy, 13 years old, making a TikTok video, looking handsome in a blue suit with a red tie. That's for you, audio listener.
Hi, my name is Charlie Brown. I'm 13 years old, and I am a part of / founder of a mission called Where's Charlie? This mission was created after the assassination of Charlie Kirk because it made me think, what nation do we live in where people are killed for exercising their right to free speech? My mission is best described in this quote: you can kill the messenger, but not the message. I am trying to bring together hundreds, thousands, and eventually millions of people to be a Charlie, to get truth and decipher that truth through critical thinking, just like Charlie did. Charlie may be gone, but now I am Charlie. You are Charlie. We are Charlie. And this is an American comeback.
Amen. We need to raise the voting age. Not because of him, but I was thinking, what a perfect solution to this problem that we're facing. Charlie Kirk was trying to solve the problem that we have in colleges. And I mentioned it on previous shows, but I'll mention it again. Some of the most hateful, outspoken people that created hateful content in reference to the Charlie Kirk assassination were teachers and college professors. The left, the evil global elite, are playing the long game with us. They've infected our institutions and they're corrupting the minds of our children. And that's why they wanted to kill Charlie Kirk. Because he was the antidote. This is where the rot is coming from. The college campuses. This is where the next generation is learning to hate their country and to hate conservatism and to hate Christian values. And on social media and on Netflix and on Disney. This evil movement is content to wait for us to die while they corrupt our children into voting the way they wish them to vote, supporting the policies they wish for them to support. So how do we fix this problem? How do we stop the momentum? Well, we take away their right to vote. I mean, that would realistically have an immediate positive impact in the short term. Or maybe we just carve out a little, like, okay, if you're 27 to 33, you're taking a few years off from voting. Sorry, conservatives. It's for the good of the country. What are we going to elect these people elect Kamala Harris when they have no grasp on the truth or the impacts of political policy, on the impacts of leftism? I mean, how many times do you see one of these libs of TikTok videos and go, Jesus, these people can vote. Their vote counts just as much as my vote. We want to let them control the direction of the country. I mean, what else are we supposed to do? What's the most nonviolent solution you can think of? That was mine. Don't let them vote. The voting age is 35 for the next 10 years. And then we'll think about lowering it. Again, we'll check your mental state. We'll give you an IQ test. And I mean, see, this is why it would never work, because who's going to be in charge in 10 years? I mean, maybe we should also have like a voting age limit too, probably. Because God knows the boomers didn't do us any favors as a class, as a generation. Not all boomers are stupid, selfish leftists. But they get a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, I think. But again, for, who knows how many times, I have a hard time blaming people for their own ignorance when we have people like Jimmy Kimmel regurgitating leftist lies every night on his, what I always thought was a popular late night show. He's gone now, and I just realized now that I never mentioned, at least I don't think I ever mentioned, that MSNBC is now considering a name change from MSNBC to MS Now. And didn't I predict umpteen years ago that these left-wing propaganda institutions were going to try to rebrand, get rid of the old political pundits, bring in new political pundits, rebrand, change the name, and then tell all of us, no, we're different now. You can trust us. We're not going to lie to you anymore, guys. We promise. Okay, well, is the ownership different? Are the sponsors different? Is the corporate power structure different? Then the message isn't going to be any different, and you can take that to the bank. Do we talk more about the problem? Have you had your fill? I swear, with these notes, I could do another 2 hours. But I think I just have to let it go. There's so much to talk about. So many things have happened. Donald Trump raised the cost of H-1B visas for companies from, $1,000 a company has to pay to bring in a worker on an H-1B visa. Donald Trump has raised that to $100,000. Ending the H-1B visa program for all intents and purposes. And I am in favor, because these companies should be hiring American workers. Seven new people have been identified as connected to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And Megyn Kelly talked about it on her show.
The FBI, familiar with the investigation, reporting that the Bureau is looking into posts by at least 7 different accounts. Several of the accounts appear to belong to transgender individuals, and at least one of them followed the suspect in this case, Tyler Robinson's roommate. Okay, so followed the roommate, the boyfriend, with whom Robinson was reportedly in a romantic relationship. Minutes after Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead, The user posted on X, "We fucking did it." This person has since deleted the account. Another user, 5 days before the shooting, wrote, quote, "You guys, I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it," along with an emoji giving a wink. "I have something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it." 5 days before the assassination. Then on Wednesday, after the shooting, the same account writes, quote, "Well, that's that." And "Another chud bites the dust." Chud, apparently a slang derogatory term for right-wingers. This user has also deleted the account. The Free Beacon also reporting a TikTok account by an individual who appears to be transgender, writing, quote, "Charles James Kirk does not know what's coming tomorrow. This isn't a threat. It's a promise." So how did all these people know this? Did they just get lucky? They just stumbled upon, they just had a feeling something was going to happen to Charlie and they all wrote it and they have links to the trans community? Wow, that's quite a coincidence. And there's new information regarding Tyler Robinson, the suspect, as well. As I mentioned above, he was in a romantic relationship with his roommate, who's a biological man pretending that he can become a female and in the process of that, quote, transition. This news was confirmed to Axios by 6 sources. And not just that, but as we reported in our own AM update this morning, Tyler Robinson himself appears to have a link to so-called furry culture and a website to this culture, which is linked to the trans community and which involves people dressing up like animals and getting some sort of sexual fetish out of it. By the way, that same so-called boyfriend who was trying to trans himself into female was constantly all over the internet in furry costumes. That's where the things stand this morning.
It is indeed the latest developments. It seems, at least in this podcaster's opinion, that this attack was carried out by the armed queers of SLC. And Benny Johnson links
But here's
to
this
this
little
video.
island. But here's this little island a couple of miles away from America, 90 miles away from America. And they have a president who talks like us. They have a president who understands the need for a liberated Palestine. And I think that was, that definitely altered my worldview as an organizer.
And when you were saying that, I recalled a very powerful moment at the May Day March of me realizing just how much the Cuban people believed in us to make a change, right? I kind of, going into it, felt like if I was a Cuban person, I'd be like, oh, these Americans are here. What do they know? But that was not the reality of it. They saw us as people who believed the same things they did, and they saw us as capable of really affecting change, and that was truly inspiring to me. I found that very powerful.
And this Shay quote came up a couple of times during the trip, but Shay had once said, "You North Americans, I'm very jealous of you because you guys have the most important struggle of all. You're in the belly of the beast." And I think that sentiment was very much felt when we were connecting with the Cuban people and people from other countries, was they had a sense of, okay, y'all are here, y'all are learning this information, you're learning how we made our revolution, but now it's time for you to go home and make your own revolution.
We went to Cuba and we brought medicine there, but what did we bring back to the USA? And the main thing, although we may have gotten some flags or some posters, the main thing we brought back was a discipline from the lifestyle of the camp. And also, I brought back a real feeling of inspiration, a feeling that we have a world to win, and a feeling that victory is ours and that revolution will come. And I think that that's the real thing that we're bringing back, is a will to affect change and a will to try to support the Cuban people and to support revolution all around the world.
Every facet of Cuban society thinks like an organizer. And these students, who were regular medical students, they came and spoke, and basically what they were saying was, they were wearing their white coats, they looked like medical students. They were like, we're the reason that America is calling Cuba terrorist. And they were saying, well, if we're terrorists, we're proud to be terrorists because we're sending doctors around the world. And if that's our terror, then so be it, right? But here's this little island a couple of miles away from America, 90 miles away from America, and they have a president who talks like us. They have a president who understands the need for a liberated Palestine. And I think that was, that definitely altered my worldview as an organizer.
That is the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. I mean, just the name itself should raise red flags in your mind. Benny Johnson writes, the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City is a Marxist paramilitary group being investigated now by federal authorities in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's left-wing political assassination. The radical group immediately deleted their social media in the aftermath of Charlie's murder. However, all data was captured by investigators, and it's very concerning. A federal law enforcement source told me directly that the group, quote, deserves classification as a domestic terrorist organization. The logo of Armed Queers features the same caliber bullet that struck Charlie, engraved with leftist messaging, just as Charlie's was. That video is now deleted. But it was the leaders of the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City bragging about a trip to communist Cuba just in May, where they trained with militant Marxists to stage a revolution in America. And this is one of, no doubt, hundreds of groups.
But here's this little island.
And they are now being investigated by the FBI. And funded by Cuba? Do you think funded by an NGO taking, taking money from Cuba? Or simply funded by Americans that have been poisoned by the lie of Marxism and communism? How do we fix this? How do we abide by our Constitution? When dealing with these people? I mean, college students are being taught that Christianity is a white supremacist group. How do we stop these people while also affording them their constitutional rights?
I might be getting canceled for this, but I'm kind of pissed off. Anyway, I'm a senior in college and I'm in international public relations, and I was told to read Chapter 8 this week of International Public Relations, Negotiating Culture, Identity, and Power. I'm reading, I just opened it up to Chapter 8 about 5 minutes ago. I've been sitting here in awe. Chapter 8 is titled Contested Identities, Shifting Publics in a Globalized World. I'm going to read you what I just read and where I stopped. I think it's the second sentence, maybe the third. Identity may be one of the most contentious words of the new millennium. An internet search produces the following modifiers for identity: corporate, sexual, digital, public, racial, national, brand, and even Christian. A US-based white supremacist group. I'm pissed. So I would just like to say that as a Christian, if you're reading this and you're not a Christian and you're in college, I am not a white supremacist. So can we cancel these authors? Are we going to cancel me?
So the University of North Georgia is teaching its students that Christians are a white supremacist group. It's disgusting. It's depraved. It's very alarming. How do we stop it from happening? while affording them their constitutional rights as Americans. Because that's what we're up against. That's the problem. I mean, do we just take out George Soros? Because, you know, he's behind a lot of it. And it seems finally that we're figuring it out, or we're ready to take action. Because Trump talked about it in his one-on-one with Fox News this week.
They have signs, and they're all professionally made. Real protesters make them in their basement. And they're all the
So
same.
who's behind it? Do you have a gut feeling?
If, you hear Soros, I don't know. We're going to find out if he's behind it. But it's incitement to riot. That's a criminal act. And people are dying because of it. So it's really, it's death. So we're gonna find out. And it should have been done a long time ago. They have signs.
Even if you take out Soros, and by take out, I mean remove him from the equation. I don't mean assassinate him. If you ban him from the country, if you sanction him, if you freeze his assets, he and his son, Alex, and his Open Society Foundation, and all of his other NGOs that how do you reverse the damage that he's done already? This event with Charlie Kirk is so devastating to our American culture because now we see on display the damage that has been done to the minds of so many people in this country, so many voters, so many consumers, so many Americans believe that we have to abandon capitalism and we must embrace communism. And we have to destroy Christian conservatives because they're hate groups. They're white supremacists. So Donald Trump has designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. I'm sure more organizations will follow, and other organizations will be linked to Antifa in circuitous ways. And just wait for the left to start screaming about their constitutional rights. Text messages were released between the assassin and their boyfriend. I don't know if I believe them. They're a little bit too incriminating. I want to doubt that Tyler Robinson was actually the assassin. Because how are you going to pin it on him? How are you going to put him on the roof? Is his DNA up there? They said they found his DNA on the towel that he wrapped his rifle in when he left it in the woods. How do you convict him? How is it not a conspiracy, by the way? When someone on the ground runs up and says, it was me, I did it, shoot me. Giving time and aid to the real shooters that were trying to get away, allegedly. I have the video from a close friend of Charlie Kirk's who was in the car as they were rushing him to the hospital. I'll save you the pain. It's all over the internet. The guy's name is Frank Turek. He tells the story. Allegedly, the doctors were able to get a pulse back after he arrived at the hospital. But 20 to 30 minutes later, their efforts were thwarted by the damage that was done by the assassin and the assassin's bullet. Does this guy Is this guy lying? Is he in on the conspiracy? It's hard to believe at this point. I mean, any conspiracy theory that involves Charlie Kirk still being alive. Do you think our government was really responsible? This isn't what this is not the picture that is materializing for me. Do you believe that it was just a misguided Marxist group? I think they regret it now. I think they regret lighting the fire under the United States and mobilizing so many Christian conservatives. Which lends, in my opinion, credibility to the argument that it wasn't a deep conspiracy. It was what one small group of whack jobs in Utah thought would be a good idea. Because I think Iran would be smarter than that. I think Israel would be smarter than that. But you know who I don't think would be smarter than that? A gang of leftist trannies. Because it's becoming increasingly more and more obvious that many of these people are actually mentally ill. And there are statistics to support this. This isn't coming from a place of hate. I have no hate in my heart. Unless you want to hurt my kids. Unless you want to hurt my family. You want to hurt me. I don't think we should be afraid of hate. I think hate can be righteous. Maybe it's time to hate. But don't hate the sinner, hate the sin. Hate the attacks on our way of life. We have a long, arduous journey ahead of us. But I don't think hate has any place. Because hate will not earn allies. It will only earn enemies. And we obviously have plenty of enemies already. But it frustrates me that we're not getting a clear picture. And I can't help but feel like the reason is because elements in the government want to put this tragedy to good use. They want to use this strategy to steer public opinion. And that's why nothing really adds up. And it sucks to know that we're missing out on a lot of things because of how much this event is still dominating the news cycle. So many other things need to be done. It's already September. It's almost October. We're almost a year away from the election of Donald Trump. And I don't think any of us have seen any of the things that we want to see. And I think that's why Donald Trump has been putting the pressure on Pam Bondi. This just came out this morning. What did Trump write on Twitter? It's going to be here somewhere. Are you kidding me? How is the... I could put it into Google and it would pop up faster. I don't want to trash Citizen Free Press. They've given me a lot of good content for this podcast. But they've really been kind of sloughing off lately. He's since deleted it. That's why we can't find it. Trump made a Truth Social post this morning or last night trying to light a fire under Pam Bondi to get after some of these prosecutions. He's since deleted it. That's suspicious. I think Donald Trump is saying what we're all feeling. Why is it almost October and none of these criminals that have done potentially irreversible damage to this country, why have none of them been held accountable? They're all still walking free. Fauci, Clinton, Mayorkas, Hunter Biden. Now, maybe they've covered their tracks. Maybe they've destroyed the evidence. Would that stop the Democrats? When are we going to abandon appearances and do what needs to be done to make safe the country? How much longer do we have to wait? Is it just a huge game? Is nothing really going to ever happen? Are we just going to have to hope and pray? Be satisfied with a complete lack of accountability for the people that have done so much damage to our country? With immigration and inflation and violence and terror? I really do think that we're just waiting for midterms. I do. I'm also impatient. I'm also upset that meaningful things haven't been done already. But at this point, it feels laughable to say. But I think we can be patient. Because if you know politics, you know that everything is about winning the next election. And I think that's why we're holding steady. So that when the real bombshells come out, it will do maximum political damage to the left and their sycophants. So, keep coming back. Sunday, 11 a.m. We did over 2 hours today. That's pretty awesome. Could probably edit down my ums and ahs to bring it to about 90 minutes. But we won't do that. I never know. I've already forgotten everything that I talked about. That's just how it goes. An interesting phenomena that comes with creating podcast content. So please, if you're still around, thank you so much. Follow me on X at earthvox. Subscribe to this podcast, please, and share it as much as you can. You can send me an email, therealearthvox@protonmail.com. Head over to my YouTube channel. Subscribe there, like my videos, comment. They're on Rumble as well. I've been dealing with these audio issues, so I haven't been able to post any clips in 3 or 4 weeks, but that's all resolved. And I will be posting more content. I really rely on you to share the message, share the videos, rate and review me. Leave me a voicemail at 701-787-1121. I'll be back.